Let's get into today's update, and wow, there's a lot to talk about. We're starting with a shocking rumor that spread like wildfire about Ben Askren. On Thursday, UFC middleweight fighter Kaio Balio caused total chaos on social media. He posted a fake message saying Ben Askren had passed away. Fans were devastated. The MMA community was in shock, and it turned out to be completely false. Later, Kaio realized the damage he had done and apologized publicly, but the damage had already been done. People were confused and hurt. To set the record straight, Ben Askren's wife, Amy, spoke to TMZ Sports. She said, "He is alive, and any rumor he has died is completely false. He is definitely still fighting." Daniel Cormier also stepped in to clarify. Some people misunderstood his recent comments about Ben being at home. Cormier explained that he meant Ben was in a hospital that is located in his home state, Wisconsin, not that he was relaxing at home.
We want to talk about our good friend Ben Askren. Ben Askren is dealing with some really tough things right now, health-wise, physically. Ben and I do a podcast called Funky the Champ, and on 2 weeks ago, he was speaking of back issues. Ben had an infection that ultimately overtook his body. He was hospitalized in Vegas. Now he's been air med back to Wisconsin. I spoke about that a little bit the other day, Joe, and I said, Ben's back home. Ben is not back home. He's just in Wisconsin, where he's in a hospital there, still trying to recover. We are praying every day for Ben Askren to recover, his family, Amy, the children. But man, it's so scary, Jill, how quickly things can change.
Now, let's talk about Ilia Topuria and Paddy Pimblett. It looked like the beef between them was finally cooling off. Or was it? These two actually ran into each other in London. They bumped fists, showing some mutual respect after years of throwing shade at each other online. Fans were hoping that meant peace. But nope, Ilia wasn't holding back during his interview with ESPN Deportes. When asked about a potential fight with Paddy, Ilia didn't sugarcoat anything. He gave a brutally honest response about what he thinks of the British star. And if you...
Paddy, por ejemplo...
Él es otro hipócrita, yo te lo digo. Yo recuerdo una vez compartimos una rueda de prensa y él me dijo una cosa que era: mira, yo estoy peleando en el main card, tú estás peleando en los preliminares, tipo una bobada así. Y yo ahora me pregunto, yo tengo 2 cinturones, ¿tú dónde estás? ¿Sabes? ¿Quién es Paddy Pimblett ahora mismo? ¿Y por qué se tendría que merecer ahora mismo pelear conmigo? La verdad que si pudiera yo elegir una pelea, pelearía con él porque cae fatal, la verdad. Cae como el culo. Y a mí me encantaría regalarle ese combate a todos los fanáticos, porque desde hace mucho tiempo yo creo que dentro de la UFC no se ve una pelea de verdad. 2 personas que de verdad se quieren pegar. Y qué mejor que pegarse delante de todo el mundo y regalarles un espectáculo. Yo sé lo que va a pasar y no va a ser ningún bien para él.
¿Qué va a pasar?
Lo que ha pasado con todos.
You thought Ilia was done? Think again. He just dropped brand new sparring footage ahead of UFC 317, and let's just say he's looking scary sharp. But what really shocked fans came next. UFC bantamweight Raul Rosas Jr. posted a photo with Ilia Topuria, and fans couldn't believe their eyes. Despite Ilia being 2 weight classes above Rosas Jr., Ilia actually looked smaller in the picture. That got people talking. For comparison, people started pulling up photos of Charles Oliveira with Raul Rosas Jr., and the reactions were wild. One fan wrote, "Nah, I think he's gonna run through Charles, but why does a 135-pounder look bigger than him? Baffles me the rumors you see. People say he walks around at 190. I don't know how the hell, unless he's living the Paddy Pimblett life between fights." Another fan commented, "Rosas is bigger than Topuria, size and height-wise. Charles by submission. I'd personally like to see Debunk own this guy. Imagine how small Ilia's gonna look next to Charles. Wow." Meanwhile, Merab Dvalishvili is back in his home country of Georgia, and he didn't go alone. He brought Nina Drama along for the ride. And of course, he's already pulling pranks. Merab shared a clip showing Nina falling for one of his classic childhood tricks. Fans were loving the playful energy. Other news, Merab's coach John Wood had some words of advice for Sean O'Malley. Aka Suga Sean. There's been talk that Sean might move up to 145 pounds, but Coach Wood thinks that would be a big mistake. Speaking on MMA Today with Dean Thomas, he said that Sean still has a clear shot at another title run at 135. He also warned that Sean is just too small to make a serious impact at featherweight. Moving up now could ruin his momentum.
Honestly, Sean's one knockout away from being right back into the, oh my God, he's back. He's the sugar show. So unless he goes out there and shits the bed really bad in his next fight, whoever that may be, then we're talking, you got some problems. But I think there's still some really good fights on the table for Sean to still have that star status. Is he ever going to beat Merab? No. Should they ever fight again? I would say probably not. But it's a strange world, and UFC, you know how this goes too, is that rankings don't mean anything. It's whoever is the star power, and sometimes last man standing. There's a path for Sean to get back to a title shot. If I was Sean, I don't think anything he does or that they do is going to be able to come out and ever beat Merab. But I don't think, I've heard a lot of talk of him going up to 145. I don't think that's the smartest move. Them dudes are, there's some big, bad 145ers out there, and Sean, he's tall, but he doesn't have like the biggest frame on him. So I don't know. I think like I said, I think there's some very winnable fights at 135 that really put him back in the zone of people talking about him, and he's, like I said, he's one knockout away from everybody going, Jugger's back. Like he's not that far off.
Now let's talk about a wild theory from Joaquin Buckley. In a recent interview with Demetrius Johnson, Buckley shared his thoughts on why Khabib Nurmagomedov never moved up to welterweight like his friend Islam Makhachev. And his theory is actually kind of funny, but also kind of shady. Buckley joked that Khabib never went to 170 pounds because his arms are too short. Yup, that's what he said. He basically implied that Khabib knew he couldn't hang with the bigger guys. Of course, this sparked major debates online. Some fans laughed it off, others felt like it was a bit disrespectful.
If he goes up and becomes a 170-pound champion, now you're talking about legacy, because that's something I wasn't able to do. There's only been a handful of guys who were able to do that. And if he's able to succeed in doing that, I think
He gonna be over his brother Khabib. I ain't gonna lie.
Exactly.
That's the only thing Khabib was missing, But Khabib was smart though. He knew he couldn't handle guys at 170. Them arms was too short. He ain't gonna nobody. You know what I'm saying? He won't get to nobody, bro. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, much respect for Islam for actually, going up, moving up weight, man, and really want to challenge yourself. The only thing that I say that's some bull is just that matchup. That matchup don't make no sense.
Hey, you mean
him and JDM ain't gonna do no numbers.
Yeah.
Now onto something more serious and honestly heartbreaking. BJ Penn, the UFC legend, is in serious trouble again. He's been arrested for the 4th time in just 2 weeks. This time, the charge is violating a temporary restraining order. He was taken into custody without any issues and released on $3,000 0 cents bail. But he's not off the hook yet. He's due back in court on Friday. The court also ordered him to leave the home he shares with his mother. This came after a judge in Hawaii extended a restraining order against him earlier this week. It's a really sad turn of events for someone who once inspired so many fans, but it doesn't stop there. Before this latest arrest, Penn was already arrested 3 times in just 6 days. His first arrest? Abuse of a family or household member. Then, just days later, he was arrested again for the same thing. After that, he was arrested again for failing to appear in court, violating his previous bail agreement. And that's not all. Reports say BJ Penn refused to sign the protective order that had been issued against him. The original restraining order came after his mother accused him of extreme psychological abuse. She said his behavior had become terrifying. she described disturbing incidents, like BJ claiming that his entire family had been killed and replaced with imposters. Yes, seriously, that's what he told people. For someone who was once one of the most respected names in MMA, it's heartbreaking to see him in this state, and that's where we are today.